Hi everyone and welcome to another Doctor Who figure review by me, Shots, and today I'll be reviewing two figures in one video, and they are the Dalek Scientist and the Dalek Eternal figures from the recent Dalek Paradigm wave. Now, I got these two figures from two different shops. I got the Eternal from Boots for £10.21, and I got the Scientist from Argos for £10.20. Now, both of these figures were exclusives in the past. The Scientist was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive with the jacketless 11th Doctor figure, which was released back in July. And the Eternal started off as a US exclusive for a shop called Hastings. It was then re-released in a 6-figure pack from Series 5, and it was still tagged as an exclusive figure for that set, but then both of them were re-released into the new Dalek Paradigm wave. And first of all, before I start talking about the detail, the sculpt, the paint and the articulation of the two figures, I'm going to show you some pictures of the packaging. Okay, so if we take a look at the front of the packaging for the Eternal Dalek, we can see at the top it says the new Dalek Paradigm is here, and also 5 to collect on the right. You then have the figure in a big plastic bubble with the card underneath, which shows the new Doctor Who logo, the name of the figure, and also a darkened picture of the Dalek Paradigm behind the new Doctor Who logo. And the front of the packaging for the Scientist is just the same, but the card is only a little bit different because it has the name of the Dalek Scientist instead of the Dalek Eternal. On the side of the packaging, it shows you which Dalek you're getting, but instead of showing a picture of the actual figure, you actually get a picture of the actual Daleks from the show. And on the back, you've got a paragraph telling you about how the Dalek Paradigm came to be, basically. And it shows you all the Daleks available in the wave. At the bottom, you've got the same usual helpful product and company information. Okay, so here we have the Dalek Eternal and the Dalek Scientist together. Now, the Scientist is probably just the one that sits in a Dalek lab playing with acids and chemicals all day, whereas the Eternal is the Dalek that is pretty much immortal, I think, because I think that's why it's called the Eternal, so it basically lasts forever without being destroyed. I think that's what it means, correct me if I'm wrong. And these two figures are made from the same sculpt, but obviously they've been painted differently. The Scientist is orange, whereas the Eternal is yellow. And now I'm going to start reviewing the figures by running through the detail that they have. Now let's start off by taking a look at their heads. Now, the heads aren't as detailed as the Russell T Davies era Daleks, because back then they had loads of screws and lots of little tiny bits on them, whereas the Series 5 Daleks don't have very highly detailed heads. But as you can see here, there is a circle which goes all the way around their head, and then you've got the two lights on the top which do have some little lines on them which are quite good. And I really like the eye stalks on these new Paradigm Daleks. You've got the silver bit here, the 4 or 5 sections here towards the end, and you've got this huge bit at the end with the big scary pupil. And it's just the same on the Scientist, absolutely no differences whatsoever, I think. And now we shall take a look at the neck. Now, the neck is just grey, so it does look a bit dull, but they have added the little holes which go all the way around it, as you can see, which the new Daleks do have, so it's good that they've kept an eye out for the little details like that. Moving down, we can see this huge grey part which goes all the way around the Dalek, and then at the front of that you've got these two deadly weapons, which are the Exterminator arm or gun, whatever you like to call it, and then the Sucker arm, two weapons which have always been featured on the Daleks throughout Doctor Who. Now, the Exterminator arm is made from quite a bendy plastic, but they are really nice. Not all silver, because you've got the little black bit towards the end there. I have no idea what this is for. It might just be a little part of the design really, but it might have some important purpose. If you know why it's there, please just leave a comment below. I'm pretty sure that the new Daleks do have them though. And then you've got the pointy bit at the end where the killer ray comes out to kill the Daleks' victims. Now the sucker arm is just pretty much your standard Dalek sucker arm. It is mainly silver, but you have got some little lines there towards the end, and then you've got this big black bit at the end where you've got some little circles in the middle there. Now if we take a look at the spheres, we can see that they are actually two different colours. The spheres on the Scientist are light grey-ish, and the spheres on the Eternal Dalek are black. Now, I was looking at some pictures of the new Dalek Paradigm, as we saw them in Victory of the Daleks earlier today, and the Eternal Dalek does have black spheres, whereas all the other Daleks in the new Paradigm have silver spheres. Again, you've got several columns of 4 spheres going all around until you get to this interesting new feature of the Daleks at the back, which is believed to be a box containing a new kind of weapon. Now, as I've said previously in some of my reviews, I would absolutely love to see what is actually inside this box, because I mean, it would be awesome if it was something like the weapon that the Special Weapons Dalek had in Remembrance of the Daleks, like that huge blaster cannon thing that just completely destroyed other Dalek fleets in that episode, which I thought was absolutely amazing. So it's probably some type of gun thing, but whatever it is, I would absolutely love to see it in the future of Doctor Who. And then at the bottom, you've just got the black base going all around, no screws on it, just completely black, no detail on it whatsoever, but it is accurate. And that's it for the detail of these 2 Dalek figures. I think it's really brilliant that they've got every single little detail of the new Daleks onto these Dalek Paradigm figures, because the Daleks from the Russell T Davies era were really detailed, because they had loads of little screws and bolts on them, which they did have in the show, and then they'd have that tiny little logo underneath their eye stalk. But as you can see, these Daleks are nowhere near as detailed, but Design Works has done a brilliant job of looking at these Daleks and putting every tiny little detail that they have onto a 5-inch action figure, which I think is brilliant. And I don't think any improvements are needed for the sculpting of the Dalek Paradigm figures, because everything is just fine the way it is. Everything's all in the correct scale and the right size. I remember that with the first Russell T Davies era Dalek figures, the Exterminator arms, the sucker arms and the eye stalks were really quite oversized, and then they were resculpted in 2008 for the release of the Crucible Dalek, and then we got the Dalek Progenitor Guardian last year, which was made to that same sculpt. But I don't think they need to resculpt these Dalek Paradigm figures again, because once again, everything is just correct. Or, well, I don't see anything wrong with the sculpts of these figures, and they just look like they've got a Dalek from Series 5 and squashed it down to 5 inches, which is exactly what it needs to be, really. And I think the colours that they've used for these Daleks are fine as well. They've definitely got the right shading for the orange and yellow on these 2, and everything else has been painted with the right colour. Now, the articulation is the same on both Daleks. The head can turn 360 degrees, the eye stalk can move up and down, the sucker arms and the exterminator arms can move around as well as go up and down. There are wheels at the bottom. And that is all the articulation of these 2 Dalek figures, and overall I think these 2 are absolutely brilliant additions to my collection. Design Works, or whoever has made these figures, has done an absolutely brilliant job of it. The sculpting is perfect, the articulation is fine the way it is, and they have all the detail that they need. And I think that both of these Dalek figures deserve a very well earned 10 out of 10. There's absolutely no problems I have about these two figures. Some of the paint in places might have slipped off onto other parts, but that isn't a problem that's happened with all of them, so I'm not really fussed about that. And that is all I have to say for my review of these two beauties. And I don't know what I will be reviewing next, but I will probably let you know on my channel comment section. Okay, so that is all for now, YouTubers. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again in another review sometime soon.